What if I told you that the difference between financial struggle and abundant wealth isn't your job, your background, or even your education, but a secret code hidden within money itself? A code that financial elites have jealously guarded for generations, keeping the masses trapped in cycles of work, earn, spend, while they effortlessly attract prosperity. Would you believe me? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? You wake up early, rush through your morning routine, and spend the entire day working tirelessly, only to come home exhausted, with barely enough energy to connect with your loved ones. You've followed all the conventional financial wisdom. Budget carefully, avoid unnecessary expenses, invest when possible. Yet somehow, at the end of each month, you're still struggling to make ends meet, watching your dreams drift further away despite your best efforts. You're not alone. Millions are caught in this exact same cycle, wondering why prosperity seems to flow effortlessly to some, while remaining frustratingly out of reach for others who work just as hard, if not harder. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform your relationship with money and abundance. I've uncovered a single book, a manuscript so powerful that its insights have been deliberately obscured by those who understand its true power. This isn't just another financial guide filled with the same recycled advice about saving and investing. This is something far more fundamental. What you're about to discover challenges everything you've been taught about wealth creation. The truth is, your financial reality isn't primarily determined by external factors like the economy or job market, but by something much closer to home, your consciousness about money itself. This revelation completely transformed my own financial situation when I was exactly where you might be now, working harder than ever but watching my debts grow while my dreams seemed increasingly unattainable. The difference wasn't that I suddenly started working even more hours or discovered some get-rich-quick scheme. The transformation began when I understood that I'd been operating from a fundamentally flawed understanding of how prosperity actually flows. What if I told you that the very beliefs and thought patterns you've absorbed about money, beliefs you didn't even consciously choose, are actually creating your financial reality with mathematical precision? That the real secret to abundant wealth isn't in doing more, but in becoming more aligned with prosperity's natural frequency. The manuscript I'm about to share contains knowledge so transformative that it doesn't just change what you do with money, it changes who you are in relationship to it. And when that shift happens, everything changes. The transformation I experienced wasn't just in my bank account, though that certainly changed dramatically. It was in the very fabric of how I experienced my relationship with money, success, and abundance. If you found value in these prosperity principles, hit that subscribe button to join our community of conscious creators. I'm constantly exploring the deeper truths about abundance and manifestation that most aren't willing to discuss. Let me share a revelation that completely shifted my understanding. True financial transformation never begins with external strategies. It's not about finding a better budgeting app, cutting one more expense, or even landing a higher-paying job. Those are all surface-level actions that, while potentially helpful, can't create lasting abundance if your consciousness about money remains rooted in scarcity. This hidden truth explains why two people can apply the exact same financial strategy with dramatically different results. One person follows the investment advice and watches their wealth multiply, while another implements the identical approach and struggles to break even. The difference isn't in the strategy, it's in the consciousness from which they're operating. Behind the scenes of every financial decision you make lies a complex web of beliefs, emotions, and energetic patterns that you've been accumulating since childhood. These invisible forces shape your financial reality far more powerfully than any external action you could take. This is why willpower alone so often fails to create lasting financial change. You're trying to force external results while your internal programming remains perfectly aligned with limitation. What the manuscript revealed to me with striking clarity is that money itself operates according to specific universal laws, a hidden code that responds with mathematical precision to your internal state. Money has its own language, and when you learn to speak it fluently, it begins responding to you in ways that seem almost magical to those still trapped in conventional thinking. The journey of decoding this language of money reveals why some individuals seem to effortlessly attract abundance, while others struggle endlessly despite their best efforts. It's not luck, privilege, or even intelligence that makes the fundamental difference. It's understanding and aligning with money's essential nature. Think about it. Have you noticed how some people seem to find opportunities everywhere they look? How doors mysteriously open for them? How they seem to be in the right place at the right time? This isn't coincidence or good fortune. It's the natural result of someone who has unknowingly or intentionally aligned with prosperity's fundamental frequency. The manuscript unpacks this phenomenon with remarkable precision. When you begin to understand that money is primarily an energy that responds to resonance rather than effort, everything shifts. Your relationship with abundance transforms from a constant battle to a natural dance of alignment. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by sharing the specific mindset shifts that create the foundation for this transformation. What's most fascinating is how these shifts often contradict everything we've been taught about prosperity and success. The revelations contained in this manuscript challenge our most basic assumptions about the relationship between effort and reward, between action and results. The impact of these insights extends far beyond your finances. When you begin mastering the language of abundance, you'll notice ripple effects throughout every dimension of your life. Relationships improve as the energetic patterns of scarcity dissolve. Creative inspiration flows more naturally. Even your physical vitality often increases as you release the exhausting struggle of swimming against prosperity's natural current. This hidden code isn't complicated. In fact, it's remarkably simple once you understand its basic principles. But it remains invisible to those operating from conventional wisdom about how money works. The journey begins with recognizing that the strongest barriers to your financial freedom aren't in the external world, but in your own consciousness. If something about this perspective resonates with you on a deeper level, if you feel that inner knowing that recognizes truth when you hear it, write in the comments, "I'm ready to decode abundance." Let me take you behind the scenes to reveal the extraordinary origin of this manuscript that has transformed countless lives, including my own. The story begins over a century ago with a wealthy businessman who seemed to have it all: influence, status, and material prosperity beyond most people's dreams. Then, in a dramatic turn of events that would ultimately change the course of financial wisdom forever, he lost everything in a devastating market collapse. What makes this story remarkable isn't the loss itself. Many have experienced financial devastation, but what happened next? Instead of desperately scrambling to rebuild his fortune through conventional means, this man made an unprecedented decision. He withdrew completely from society and spent 7 years in isolation, dedicating himself to one singular question: why do some people naturally attract abundance while others struggle their entire lives, regardless of their education, connections, or work ethic? His journey took him beyond the surface-level mechanics of money into its most essential and energetic nature. He wasn't studying investment strategies or business tactics. He was exploring something far more fundamental, the invisible laws that govern the flow of prosperity itself. Through this profound inner work, he uncovered revelations so powerful that when he eventually documented his findings, they initially circulated only among a small circle of influential individuals who recognized their transformative potential. Subscribe now to continue this journey of transformation with me. Each video reveals another layer of how consciousness shapes reality and how you can align with abundance in ways most people never discover. These early recipients experienced such dramatic shifts in their financial reality that they deliberately limited the manuscript's circulation, considering its insights too powerful for mass consumption. They understood something that most of us have never been taught, that the mind's relationship with money operates according to precise, universal principles that, once understood, can completely transform one's experience of abundance. Now I want to share perhaps the most shocking revelation from this manuscript, a truth so contrary to everything we've been programmed to believe that it might initially trigger resistance in your mind. Throughout your entire life, you've been systematically conditioned to accept what may be the most damaging lie in our collective consciousness, that money is scarce, difficult to obtain, and requires constant struggle and sacrifice. Think about it. Since childhood, you've absorbed messages like, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work hard to earn a living, or the rich get richer while the poor get poorer. These aren't innocent observations. They're powerful programming that has shaped your entire relationship with prosperity. They've created the invisible boundaries of what you believe is possible for you financially. This programming runs so deep that most of us never question it. We accept financial struggle as normal, even inevitable. We look at those who experience effortless abundance with suspicion or assume they must have some unfair advantage. But what if the truth is far simpler and more liberating? What if abundance is actually the natural state of the universe, and our experience of scarcity is merely the result of misalignment with prosperity's fundamental laws? The manuscript reveals with startling clarity that we've been viewing the entire relationship backwards. The conventional wisdom tells us we must first work tirelessly to then perhaps enjoy abundance. But the hidden truth turns this equation on its head. We must first align with the vibrational frequency of abundance so that the work we do naturally generates prosperous results. This complete inversion of the traditional paradigm opens a gateway to an entirely new dimension of financial possibilities, one where struggle is replaced by flow, where effort is aligned rather than forced, and where prosperity becomes the natural expression of who you are, rather than something you must constantly chase. The manuscript documents how two brothers raised in identical circumstances, with the same education and opportunities, developed completely opposite financial realities. The crucial difference wasn't in their external actions, but in the energetic field from which they operated. One brother remained locked in the scarcity paradigm, constantly battling for every dollar. The other discovered, almost by accident, the principles of energetic alignment with abundance, and experienced a financial flow that seemed almost magical to outside observers. If you're beginning to sense that there might be more to the money equation than what you've been taught, if something about this perspective is awakening a deeper knowing within you, write in the comments, "I'm breaking free from scarcity programming." The revolutionary truth this manuscript reveals is that money, in its purest essence, is not the physical currency we hold in our hands or the numbers in our bank accounts. These are merely symbols, the tangible representations of something far more fundamental. At its core, money is an expression of energy that flows naturally toward those who understand and align with its underlying laws. Think of it like water in a river system. Water doesn't judge whether a particular channel deserves to receive its flow. It simply follows the path of least resistance, flowing effortlessly toward openings and away from blockages. Money energy operates according to similar principles. It's not making moral judgments about your worthiness. It's responding with mathematical precision to your energetic alignment or misalignment with its natural flow. This revelation completely transforms how we approach financial abundance. When you recognize money as an energy rather than a limited resource we must desperately compete for, everything changes. The question shifts from, how can I get more money, to, how can I become a natural channel for this abundant energy to flow toward and through me? The insight that transformed countless lives, including my own, was the profound understanding that we've been operating from a fundamental misperception about the relationship between effort and reward. The traditional paradigm tells us that we must first work tirelessly, make sacrifices, and essentially prove our worthiness before we can receive abundance. But the manuscript revealed a complete inversion of this approach that changes everything. The hidden truth is that you must first align with the vibrational frequency of abundance so that the work you do naturally generates prosperous results. This is the quantum leap in understanding that separates those who struggle financially from those who experience effortless flow. It's not about working harder, it's about operating from an entirely different energetic foundation. Imagine two farmers planting identical seeds in different soil. One plants in rich, fertile ground, while the other plants in dry, depleted earth. Both farmers could work equally hard, tilling, watering, weeding, but their harvests will be dramatically different because of the foundation they're building upon. Your consciousness about money is the soil in which all your financial efforts are planted. The awakening moment for me came when I realized I had been approaching prosperity completely backwards. Despite implementing all the right strategies externally, I was still operating from an internal vibration of scarcity, that subtle anxiety when checking my bank account, the tension in my body when paying bills, the underlying fear that there would never be enough. My actions said abundance, but my energy screamed scarcity, and the universe was responding precisely to that energetic broadcast. This journey of transformation isn't about denying practical reality or abandoning sensible financial practices. It's about understanding that those external actions are infinitely more powerful when they emerge from an internal state of alignment with abundance, rather than from fear, desperation, or scarcity. It's the difference between pushing a boulder uphill and guiding it down a gentle slope. Same boulder. Dramatically different experience. What's most liberating about this understanding is that your vibrational frequency isn't fixed or determined by your circumstances. It's completely within your power to recalibrate, regardless of your current financial situation. The manuscript offers precise techniques for elevating your prosperity consciousness, practical methods that work directly with your energetic field rather than just your behavior. The transformation begins with recognizing the invisible barriers you've been carrying, those subtle but powerful beliefs about money, success, and your worthiness to receive abundance. These aren't philosophical abstractions, but tangible energetic patterns that are literally shaping your financial reality every day, whether you're conscious of them or not. Now I want to explore the 4 most common energetic blocks that keep people locked in financial struggle despite their best efforts to create prosperity. These hidden saboteurs operate beneath the surface of your awareness, systematically undermining your conscious intentions and keeping you caught in cycles you don't understand. If you're beginning to sense the profound implications of this energetic understanding of money, if you can feel something shifting in your perception even as we speak, write in the comments, "I'm aligning with abundance now." The first hidden saboteur that keeps most people locked in financial struggle is what the manuscript calls the worthiness A barrier. Beneath your conscious desires for prosperity often lies a deeper belief that you somehow don't deserve exceptional abundance. This belief can manifest in surprisingly subtle ways, from small self-sabotaging decisions to mysterious bad luck that consistently appears just when things start improving financially. What makes this barrier so insidious is that it operates independently of your conscious intentions. You might sincerely want greater prosperity and work diligently toward it, while simultaneously broadcasting an energetic signal that says, "I'm not really worthy of this level of success." The universe, responding with mathematical precision to your deeper frequency rather than your surface desires, faithfully delivers experiences that validate this unworthiness belief. This revelation illuminates why two people can implement identical financial strategies with dramatically different outcomes. The external actions may look the same, but the energetic field from which those actions emerge creates entirely different results. One person operates from an internal state of alignment with prosperity, a deep, cellular-level knowing of their worthiness to receive. The other performs similar actions, but from an energetic field contaminated with doubt, unworthiness, and subconscious resistance. Think about the profound implications of this understanding. Your financial reality isn't primarily shaped by what you do, but by the energetic signature you emit while doing it. This explains the common phenomenon of people who seem to try everything to improve their finances, yet remain stuck in the same patterns. They're changing their external behaviors while their internal energetic broadcast remains unchanged. At its most essential level, money functions as an energetic pattern that responds with mathematical precision to your deepest mental and emotional patterns. This isn't metaphorical or philosophical, it's a practical reality that explains why conventional financial advice fails so consistently for so many people. When you understand money as energy rather than just numbers or physical currency, you gain access to transformation at the causal level rather than just manipulating effects. Imagine you're transmitting a radio signal on a specific frequency. This signal isn't determined by what you say you want or by your conscious intentions. It's determined by the sum total of your beliefs, emotions, and expectations about money, most of which were programmed into your subconscious long before you had any say in the matter. This broadcast creates a magnetic field that attracts experiences, opportunities, and circumstances that perfectly match its frequency. The breakthrough comes when you realize you can consciously recalibrate this signal. You're not permanently locked into the financial frequency you've been operating on. The manuscript offers precise techniques for accessing and transforming these deep patterns, not through willpower or positive thinking, but through systematic reprogramming of your energetic relationship with abundance. One powerful catalyst for this transformation is what the manuscript calls pattern interruption. Most people's relationship with money runs on autopilot, guided by unconscious programs that were installed decades ago. Pattern interruption temporarily suspends these automatic processes, creating a window where new programming can be established. This is why major life disruptions, like losing a job or experiencing financial collapse, sometimes precede extraordinary financial breakthroughs. The disruption temporarily suspends the old patterns, creating an opening for something new to emerge. But you don't need to wait for external crisis to create this opening. The manuscript teaches specific practices that deliberately interrupt your habitual money patterns, allowing you to consciously establish new ones. The second hidden saboteur the manuscript identifies is negative wealth association. Many of us were programmed from childhood to unconsciously link wealth with negative qualities. Rich people are selfish. Money is the root of all evil. Wealth only comes at the expense of others. These associations create a devastating internal conflict where consciously we want prosperity, but subconsciously we reject it because we've linked it with becoming someone we don't want to be. This explains why some people seem perpetually almost successful. They advance to the threshold of significant prosperity only to mysteriously sabotage themselves just before breakthrough. Their conscious mind drives toward success, while their subconscious applies the emergency brakes to prevent them from becoming the bad person they've associated with wealth. Now, I want to explore how these subconscious patterns can be permanently transformed, allowing you to establish a new energetic relationship with money that naturally attracts rather than repels abundance. The key insight that changed everything for me was understanding that these patterns aren't fixed. They're simply programs that can be systematically rewired. If you're recognizing these sabotage patterns in your own life, if you can sense how they might be operating beneath your conscious awareness, write in the comments, "I'm releasing my hidden saboteurs." The third hidden saboteur, revealed in the manuscript, takes us even deeper into understanding how our thoughts literally shape our financial reality. Your thoughts about money aren't simply abstract ideas floating in your mind. They are tangible creative forces that sculpt your external circumstances with remarkable precision. Each time you think, "I can't afford this," or "I always struggle with money," you're not merely describing your reality, you're actively programming it. This revelation illuminates the profound power we unknowingly wield through our habitual thought patterns. Every thought carries a specific frequency that ripples outward into the unified field of consciousness, attracting resonant experiences back to you. Think of it like dropping stones into a pond. Each thought creates waves that eventually return to shore. The quality and frequency of those waves determine what washes back to you. What's truly revolutionary about this understanding is that transformation begins when you realize you can consciously reprogram this system. Instead of allowing your current circumstances to define your thoughts about money, you can deliberately cultivate thoughts aligned with abundance, thoughts that will inevitably alter your external circumstances. Neuroscience has begun confirming what the manuscript revealed decades ago. Your neural pathways physically restructure themselves according to your dominant thought patterns. When you consistently think thoughts of lack and limitation, you're literally hardwiring your brain to notice evidence supporting these beliefs while filtering out contradictory information. Your perception becomes a self-reinforcing loop that continuously validates your existing paradigm. The awakening happens when you recognize that this process occurs regardless of whether you're conscious of it or not. Every person on the planet is manifesting their financial reality in perfect accordance with their internal programming. The only difference between those who experience effortless abundance and those who constantly struggle is the set of vibrational codes they're emitting, not their external circumstances, education, or connections. This is why conventional approaches to financial improvement so often fail. They focus exclusively on changing behaviors while ignoring the underlying programming that generates those behaviors in the first place. It's like trying to change the direction of a ship by adjusting the wake it leaves behind, an exercise in futility that creates immense frustration. The manuscript offers a precise methodology for accessing and transforming these deep patterns. Rather than endlessly trying to change your thoughts about money through willpower alone, it provides techniques for recalibrating your entire consciousness about prosperity at the causal level, where transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. The revelation that transformed my own relationship with money was understanding that my thoughts weren't just passive observers of my financial reality, they were its architects. I noticed how my internal narrative about never having enough was creating a perceptual filter that constantly confirmed this belief. Even when abundance was present, I could only see lack because that's what my programming was designed to notice. The journey of transformation begins with a practice the manuscript calls conscious observation. For a full day, simply observe without judgment your habitual thoughts and language patterns about money. Notice the subtle anxiety when checking your bank account, the tension that arises when unexpected expenses appear, the unconscious phrases you use when discussing finances. This neutral observation is the first crucial step because you cannot transform what you don't consciously recognize. What emerges from this observation is often startling. Patterns so ingrained they've become invisible, operating like background software that continuously shapes your experience without your awareness. The manuscript guides you through systematically identifying these patterns before introducing specific techniques to transform them at their root. One of the most powerful techniques is what the manuscript calls vibrational reframing. Instead of trying to force yourself to think positively about money, which often creates internal resistance, you learn to systematically expand your perception to include possibilities beyond your current experience. This isn't naive positive thinking, but a deliberate recalibration of your perceptual filters to include abundance that may already be present, but filtered from your awareness. Now I want to reveal the fourth hidden saboteur that keeps people locked in financial struggle despite their best efforts, what the manuscript calls the financial glass ceiling. This invisible boundary is created by your reference models, the unconscious limits you've established based on your family's financial history, your social circle, and the possibilities you've been conditioned to believe are available to people like you. If you're starting to recognize how your thoughts have been silently shaping your financial reality, if you're ready to transform from passive victim to conscious creator of your prosperity, write in the comments, "My thoughts create my wealth." This understanding leads us to perhaps the most transformative revelation in the entire manuscript, one that completely dismantles the conventional wisdom about how prosperity actually flows. Here it is. Money doesn't flow to you based on how much you need it, how much you desire it, or even how much you work to get it. It flows to you based solely on your capacity to tune into its energetic essence. This crucial distinction completely reshapes our understanding of the effort-reward paradigm we've been conditioned to believe. Think about people you know who constantly struggle financially despite working incredibly hard, while others seem to attract abundance with seemingly minimal effort. The difference isn't in their external actions, but in their energetic alignment with prosperity itself. Let me share an analogy that illuminated this principle for me with crystal clarity. Think of prosperity like a radio broadcast that's continuously transmitting on a specific frequency. No matter how desperately you want to hear a particular station, if your dial is tuned to 80.5 FM, it's physically impossible for you to receive the transmission occurring on 103.7 FM. You could sit beside that radio for hours, pleading with it, working diligently to hear your desired station. But until you adjust the frequency dial, your efforts are futile. In the same way, if your personal energetic field is tuned to the frequency of never enough, it's literally impossible for you to receive the abundance transmissions that are available at every moment. This isn't a metaphorical or philosophical concept. It's a practical reality that explains why so many hard-working, intelligent people remain trapped in financial struggle despite their best efforts. What's liberating about this understanding is that your energetic frequency isn't fixed. The manuscript offers a precise protocol to recalibrate your internal dial step by step until you're naturally tuned to the unlimited prosperity frequency. And what's truly revolutionary is that this recalibration doesn't require years of practice or iron discipline. The shift can begin to manifest in days, sometimes even hours, Once you understand the underlying mechanism, behind this transformation lies a profound shift in how we understand the relationship between consciousness and material reality. Modern quantum physics has begun confirming what ancient wisdom traditions have taught for millennia. Consciousness isn't just observing reality, it's actively creating it through the invisible field of potentiality that underlies all physical manifestation. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs about money aren't just passive responses to your circumstances, they're actively shaping the quantum field from which those circumstances emerge. This isn't mystical thinking, it's cutting-edge science that's revolutionizing our understanding of how consciousness interacts with the material world. The manuscript guides you through specific practices designed to systematically elevate your prosperity frequency, not through superficial affirmations or visualizations, but through profound recalibration of your entire energetic relationship with abundance. These practices work directly with your nervous system, your subconscious programming, and your electromagnetic field to create alignment at all levels of your being. One of the most powerful of these practices is what the manuscript calls embodied prosperity. Rather than trying to convince yourself intellectually that abundance is available, you learn to cultivate the actual bodily sensation of prosperity. The physical feeling of ease, confidence, and expansiveness that naturally accompanies true abundance. This embodied state sends a completely different signal to the quantum field than the contracted, anxious energy most people unknowingly broadcast about money. What's fascinating is how quickly external circumstances begin shifting once this internal recalibration takes place. Opportunities that were always technically available but filtered from your awareness suddenly become visible. Resources appear from unexpected sources. Synchronicities that seem almost magical begin occurring with such regularity that eventually you recognize them not as coincidences, but as the natural operation of prosperity laws you've finally aligned with. Now I want to explore the critical distinction between working hard and aligned effort. The difference that explains why some people exhaust themselves pursuing prosperity, while others attract it naturally through work that energizes rather than depletes them. This revelation completely transforms how you approach not just money, but your entire relationship with creative expression and contribution. If you're beginning to sense how this frequency principle might be operating in your own financial life, if you're recognizing patterns where you've been working hard but broadcasting on a frequency that can't receive what you're seeking, write in the comments, "I'm tuning my prosperity dial." Now I want to reveal perhaps the most profound paradigm shift the manuscript offers, one that completely transforms how we understand the relationship between action and results. Here it is: money doesn't come to you for what you do, but for who you are. This seemingly simple distinction contains a truth so powerful that it has transformed the lives of thousands who have applied it. Think about our society's obsession with action, with doing more, working longer hours, taking on additional projects, pursuing every opportunity. We live in a perpetual state of doing that often exhausts us, while promising a reward that seems to move further away with each exhausted step we take. This approach is rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of how prosperity actually works. What the manuscript reveals with startling clarity is that the people who experience sustainable abundance aren't doing things fundamentally different from what you do. They're being a different version of themselves. Their internal state, their essential identity and relationship with themselves is aligned with prosperity, and their actions simply flow naturally from that state of being. Let me illustrate. This with an analogy that transformed my understanding. Imagine you're trying to cultivate apples, but you've planted orange seeds. No matter how diligently you fertilize, water, or protect that tree, no matter how perfect your gardening techniques, it will never produce apples because its essential nature, its DNA, is programmed to produce oranges. You can exhaust yourself with perfect action, but you're working against the fundamental identity of the tree. In the same way, if your inner identity is programmed for scarcity and limitation, all your actions, no matter how strategic or disciplined, will only produce more experiences of scarcity. You're trying to grow apples from an orange tree. The transformation begins not with changing your actions, but with transforming the essential identity from which those actions emerge. This revelation illuminates why so many traditional approaches to financial improvement ultimately fail. They focus exclusively on behavior change while ignoring the underlying identity that drives behavior in the first place. It's like trying to permanently change the direction of a river by manipulating the water's surface while ignoring the riverbed that actually determines its flow. The journey of identity transformation is both simpler and more profound than most imagine. It's not about adopting a false persona or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about clearing away the conditioned limitations and false beliefs that have obscured your natural state of abundance. It's a process of revelation rather than creation, uncovering what was always there beneath layers of programming. The manuscript offers a systematic approach to this identity recalibration, a step-by-step process for shifting from a scarcity-based identity to one naturally aligned with prosperity. This transformation operates at multiple levels simultaneously: the conscious mind, the subconscious programming, the nervous system, and the energetic field that emanates from your being. One powerful technique it teaches is identity rehearsal, a practice far more sophisticated than basic visualization or affirmation. Rather than simply imagining a prosperous future self, you learn to systematically inhabit that self in the present moment, to literally practice being the version of yourself who is already aligned with abundance consciousness. This isn't about pretending or self-deception. It's about neurologically and energetically installing new patterns that gradually become your default state. Neuroscience has confirmed what the manuscript taught decades ago. Consistent mental rehearsal creates the same neural pathways as actual experience. Your brain and nervous system can't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. By regularly practicing the state of being that's aligned with prosperity, you're literally rewiring your neural architecture and recalibrating your energetic signature. Eventually, what began as conscious practice becomes your natural, effortless way of being in the world. At this point, prosperity flows, not because of what you're doing, but because of who you've become. This transformation resolves the exhausting paradox many experience: working harder and harder for financial freedom while feeling increasingly trapped. When your actions emerge from an identity aligned with abundance rather than scarcity, they naturally generate prosperous results without the desperate striving that characterizes most approaches to wealth creation. Now I want to explore how this identity transformation manifests in real-world experiences, how people's financial reality shifts when they change at the being level rather than just the doing level. I'll share specific examples of individuals who applied these principles and experienced breakthroughs that seemed almost miraculous to outside observers, but were simply the natural result of this fundamental shift in who they were being. If you're beginning to sense how this identity principle might be operating in your own financial life, if you're recognizing how your essential sense of self might be shaping your prosperity more powerfully than any action you're taking, write in the comments, "I'm transforming who I'm being." Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates this principle of identity transformation in action. Maria, a client who had struggled financially for decades, despite working multiple jobs and constantly educating herself about money, experienced a breakthrough that seemed almost miraculous to outside observers. What changed wasn't her external strategy. It was her essential identity in relation to prosperity. For years, Maria had operated from what the manuscript calls a struggler identity. She saw herself fundamentally as someone who had to fight for every dollar, who would always have just enough, but never abundance. This identity wasn't conscious. It operated at the subconscious level, programming her entire relationship with money without her awareness. Through the identity recalibration process the manuscript teaches, Maria began systematically dismantling this struggler identity and cultivating what we might call a natural receiver identity, someone who attracts prosperity effortlessly because of their inherent value rather than desperate effort. The transformation didn't happen overnight, but the shift was remarkable. Without changing jobs or receiving any unexpected windfall, Maria began making decisions from an entirely different place. She started valuing her skills in a new way, negotiated a salary review for the first time in her career, and began attracting opportunities that had always been technically available but filtered from her awareness by her previous identity. Within 6 months, her income had doubled, but more importantly, her relationship with money had fundamentally transformed. The constant anxiety and struggle that had characterized her financial life for decades was replaced by a sense of ease and natural flow that continued expanding long after the initial breakthrough. What's most illuminating about stories like Maria's is that they reveal the hidden mechanism behind what most people mistakenly attribute to luck, connections, or privilege. The profound shift happens at the identity level, in who you're being, and that transformation naturally reorganizes your external circumstances to match your new energetic signature. Now I want to take you even deeper into understanding why this identity transformation is so crucial. Recent studies in neuroscience have revealed something startling. Up to 95% of our daily decisions are made by our subconscious mind, not by our conscious awareness. This means you can have the best intentions, the clearest goals, and the most brilliant financial strategies in your conscious mind. But if your subconscious programming is aligned with scarcity, you'll be constantly sabotaging your own progress without even realizing it. Think about the profound implications of this understanding. The vast majority of your financial decisions, from small daily choices to major life directions, are being directed by programming you didn't consciously choose and may not even be aware exists. This explains the frustrating phenomenon of 2 steps forward, 1 step back that characterizes most people's financial journey. The manuscript exposes with surgical precision the 4 most common subconscious patterns that sabotage prosperity. We've already explored the unworthiness barrier and negative wealth association. The 3rd pattern is what the book calls the financial glass ceiling, an invisible limit your subconscious establishes based on your reference models. If you grew up in an environment where no one earned more than a certain amount, your subconscious may have established that level as the maximum allowed for you, blocking any attempt to significantly surpass it. The 4th pattern is perhaps the most insidious: addiction to financial drama. Many people have so deeply incorporated the identity of fighter or survivor that they paradoxically feel uncomfortable when things begin to flow easily. Their sense of self is so linked to struggle that they unconsciously create crises to reaffirm who they believe they are. What's revolutionary about the manuscript is that it not only exposes these patterns with uncomfortable clarity, but it offers precise tools to permanently deactivate them. The journey requires facing these hidden saboteurs that operate in the shadows of your consciousness, making decisions that keep you trapped in cycles you don't understand. Now I want to share the 7-day protocol the manuscript offers, a systematic approach to transforming these limiting patterns that has proven remarkably effective for thousands of people. This protocol works simultaneously at multiple levels of consciousness, creating a comprehensive recalibration of your entire relationship with prosperity. If you're recognizing these subconscious patterns in your own life, if you can see how they might be silently directing your financial decisions beneath your conscious awareness, write in the comments, "I'm reclaiming my financial power." The 7-day protocol begins with what the manuscript calls conscious detox, a systematic process of identifying and releasing the 4 sabotage patterns we've explored. Each day of the protocol focuses on dismantling a specific aspect of your limiting programming and replacing it with a new vibrational pattern aligned with abundance. Day 1 focuses entirely on awareness, becoming a detective of your own patterns without trying to change anything yet. You simply observe your habitual thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations related to money throughout the day. This neutral observation creates a crucial foundation because you can't transform what you don't first acknowledge. What makes this protocol so effective is that it works simultaneously at multiple levels. Not just your conscious thoughts, but your subconscious programming, your nervous system responses, and your energetic field. It's a comprehensive recalibration rather than the superficial approach most financial improvement methods offer. By day 3, most participants report experiencing noticeable shifts in their relationship with money, not necessarily in their external circumstances yet, but in their internal experience. The constant background anxiety about finances begins dissolving, replaced by a growing sense of possibility and calm confidence. This internal shift is the precursor to external transformation. What's fascinating about this process is that it reveals a fundamental truth about how reality actually works, a truth that completely inverts our conventional understanding of cause and effect. The manuscript explains it with crystal clarity. The universe responds to your vibrational frequency, not to your superficial desires or conscious objectives. Think about the profound implications of this understanding. Your deepest financial reality isn't shaped by what you say you want or by your conscious goals and intentions. It's determined by the sum total of your beliefs, emotions, habitual thoughts, and energetic patterns related to prosperity, most of which operate beneath your conscious awareness. This explains why traditional approaches like positive thinking or visualization often fail to create lasting change. They attempt to overlay new conscious programming over a subconscious that remains firmly anchored in limitation. It's like trying to sail a boat without first pulling up the anchor. You might create momentary movement, but you'll ultimately remain tethered to the same spot. The manuscript offers a revolutionary insight. Your vibrational frequency isn't just a passive reflection of your internal state. It's an active creative force that continuously shapes your material circumstances through resonance with the quantum field. In essence, you're constantly broadcasting a specific energetic signature that the universe faithfully matches with corresponding experiences. Think of it like a tuning fork. When you strike a tuning fork calibrated to a specific frequency, any nearby tuning fork calibrated to that same frequency will automatically begin vibrating in resonance, even without direct physical contact. In the same way, your personal frequency automatically attracts and activates resonant experiences in your reality. The breakthrough comes when you realize that this vibrational broadcast isn't fixed or determined by your past or present circumstances. It can be deliberately recalibrated through specific practices that work directly with your energetic field. The 7-day protocol offers precisely these practices, techniques designed to systematically elevate your prosperity frequency regardless of your current external situation. One of the most powerful of these practices is what the manuscript calls gratitude alchemy. Unlike conventional gratitude practices that focus on appreciating what you already have, this advanced technique teaches you to experience genuine gratitude for prosperity that hasn't yet manifested in your physical reality, but exists as potential in the quantum field. This isn't pretending or self-deception. It's learning to access and experience the reality that exists in potential before it crystallizes into physical form. When you can genuinely feel grateful for abundance that exists in this potential state, you create a vibrational bridge that allows it to flow into your actual experience. Another transformative practice the protocol offers is resonant visualization, a technique that goes far beyond the superficial visualization most manifestation methods teach. Rather than simply seeing images of what you want, you learn to generate the precise emotional and energetic signature of already having it. This distinction is crucial because the universe responds not to your mental images, but to the frequency they generate within you. Now I want to share the exact moment in my own journey when everything changed. When I finally understood how to apply these principles in a way that created tangible transformation in my financial reality. This wasn't just an intellectual understanding, but a full-body revelation that completely altered my relationship with prosperity. If you're beginning to sense how these vibrational principles might be operating in your own financial life, if you're recognizing how your deep patterns could be broadcasting a frequency that's creating your current experience, write in the comments, "I'm changing my prosperity broadcast." I want to share a powerful analogy from the manuscript that completely transformed how I understand financial transformation. Imagine your financial life is exactly like a thermostat. No matter how much you temporarily heat the room with a new job, a salary increase, or a stroke of luck, the thermostat will always return the temperature to its programmed setting. This explains why so many people experience temporary financial improvements only to mysteriously return to their previous state. They're changing the room temperature without adjusting the thermostat itself. The key to sustainable transformation isn't temporarily heating the room, but reprogramming the thermostat to a completely new setting. Your internal financial thermostat is a complex integration of your beliefs, expectations, comfort zone, and unconscious programming about what you believe is normal for you financially. This setting was likely established decades ago based on your family patterns, early experiences with money, and the subtle messages you absorbed about prosperity and your worthiness to receive it. What's revolutionary about the manuscript is that it doesn't just explain this mechanism. It offers precise techniques for accessing and recalibrating your internal financial thermostat. These aren't superficial strategies like positive thinking or visualization. They're profound processes that work directly with your subconscious programming, your nervous system, and your energetic field to establish an entirely new set point. Once your internal thermostat is adjusted to a new level, the universe automatically begins to respond by reorganizing circumstances, attracting opportunities, and manifesting resources that perfectly match your new frequency. This isn't magical thinking, it's the natural operation of resonance principles that govern all energy systems, including consciousness itself. In my own journey, I discovered that my thermostat was set to just enough, a level where I never experienced true financial disaster, but also never broke through to genuine abundance. This setting wasn't random, it was precisely calibrated to match my subconscious beliefs about what was appropriate for someone like me. The breakthrough came when I finally accessed and reprogrammed this set point using the techniques the manuscript teaches. Now, I want to share another profound revelation that changed everything for me: the extraordinary power of your financial language and how the words you use are literally programming your economic reality. This aspect is so fundamental that many readers describe it as the most impactful revelation of the entire book. Words are not simply sounds or symbols we use to communicate. They are vibrational patterns with specific frequencies that, when pronounced or thought repeatedly, create neural grooves in your brain and energetic patterns in your personal electromagnetic field. These frequencies, once established, attract resonant experiences toward you with mathematical precision. Think about the phrases you habitually use when talking about money. "I can't afford it." "That's too expensive for me." "Money doesn't grow on trees." "I'm always tight at the end of the month." These seemingly innocent expressions are actually direct commands to your subconscious and to the quantum field that surrounds you. The manuscript explains that every time you say, "I can't afford it," you're not simply describing a temporary reality. You're issuing a creative declaration that programs your energetic field to continue manifesting that same experience of limitation. It's as if you were continuously writing the same script for the movie of your financial life, and then being surprised when the plot repeats itself over and over again. The transformation begins when you start recognizing these limiting expressions and consciously replace them with a new financial vocabulary. This isn't about deceiving yourself or denying your current reality. It's about deliberately choosing language that opens possibilities instead of closing them, that expands your field of action instead of contracting it. For example, instead of saying, "I can't afford it," you might say, "How could I create the resources to acquire this if I really want it?" Notice how this simple reformulation transforms a closed statement of impossibility into an open question that invites creativity and exploration of possibilities. Your brain, which is fundamentally a problem-solving machine, will immediately begin searching for answers to this new question, activating neurological resources that remained dormant under the old paradigm. This linguistic recalibration creates ripple effects throughout your entire relationship with prosperity. By consciously monitoring and transforming your financial language, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways and recoding your energetic signature. Over time, what begins as a deliberate practice becomes your natural way of thinking, speaking, and being in relationship with abundance. Now, I want to explore the 7-day formula the manuscript offers. A systematic protocol that has proven to radically transform the relationship with money for those who apply it faithfully, often with tangible results that begin to manifest before even completing the 7 days. If you've noticed how your habitual language about money might be unconsciously programming limitation in your life, if you're ready to transform these patterns into expressions that generate abundance instead, write in the comments, "I'm upgrading my prosperity language." The 7-day formula isn't just another quick fix approach to financial improvement. It's a methodical, systematic protocol designed with almost scientific precision. Each day focuses on dismantling a specific aspect of your limiting programming about money and replacing it with a new vibrational pattern aligned with abundance. What's fascinating is that it doesn't require during these 7 days. The work occurs completely in the realm of your consciousness, yet the effects inevitably manifest in your external reality. The first day of the protocol focuses entirely on conscious observation, becoming a witness to your own patterns. For 24 hours, you simply observe without judging or trying to change anything. Your habitual language about money, your emotional reactions when checking your bank account, the subtle tensions in your body when thinking about bills or expenses. You become a detective of your own patterns, noticing every expression, every thought, every emotional reaction related to your finances. This neutral observation is the crucial first step because you can't transform what you don't consciously recognize. Many participants describe this first day as surprisingly revelatory. They suddenly see patterns that have been operating their entire lives but were too close to notice, like fish unaware of the water they swim in. The following days guide you through a meticulous process of what the manuscript calls energetic detoxification and vibrational reprogramming. The manuscript offers specific practices, guided visualizations and practical exercises for each day, calibrated to work synergistically and create a comprehensive shift in your energetic field. What makes this protocol so effective is that it works simultaneously on multiple levels of consciousness. It's not limited to reprogramming your conscious mind, but accesses directly the deepest layers of your subconscious, where your fundamental beliefs about money and abundance reside. It's like getting access to the source code of your prosperity, programming rather than just adjusting the user interface. One participant described her experience as awakening from a hypnotic trance she didn't even know she was experiencing. By the 5th day, she began noticing inexplicable financial synchronicities. An old client who reappeared unexpectedly, an opportunity that arose out of nowhere, a forgotten refund that arrived at the perfect moment. By the 7th day, her perception of money had changed so fundamentally that she described the sensation as seeing in color after a lifetime in black and white. Now I want to go even deeper into the second revealing secret that the manuscript exposes with a clarity that has transformed the lives of thousands of people. This fundamental secret completely redefines our understanding of the true nature of money. It's not what most people think it is. It's something far more personal and profound. Money is nothing more than a perfect mirror that reflects your relationship with yourself, not with the external world. This revelation is so powerful that when you finally assimilate it at a cellular level, it instantly transforms your entire experience with prosperity. Think about it. We've been conditioned to believe that our financial situation depends on external factors. The economy, our job, the market, the competition, the available opportunities. However, the manuscript demonstrates with irrefutable examples that people in identical external circumstances can experience completely opposite financial realities. Why can two professionals with the same training in the same industry with comparable skills have radically different financial results? Why do some people seem to attract lucrative opportunities without apparent effort, while others struggle constantly despite their best efforts? The fundamental difference isn't in the external world, but in their internal relationship with themselves. Money, in its purest essence, is simply energy that amplifies and makes visible your self-perceived value. If internally you don't feel worthy of exceptional abundance, money, that impeccable mirror, will faithfully reflect that self-image, manifesting as financial limitation, lost opportunities, or cycles of almost achievement that never quite fully materialize. The good news is that by understanding this fundamental dynamic, you gain the power to consciously transform it. If money is simply a reflection of your relationship with yourself, then the path to unlimited abundance begins with an internal transformation of how you perceive, value, and respect yourself. The manuscript offers specific exercises to recalibrate this internal relationship, to heal the wounds of devaluation that most of us carry from childhood, and to establish a new self-image founded on your inherent value, not on external conditions or achievements. When this transformation occurs, the change in your financial reality isn't simply probable, it's mathematically inevitable. Now I want to reveal one of the most counterintuitive but powerful techniques the book offers, what it calls the Prosperous void technique. This revolutionary practice contradicts almost everything we've been taught about how to attract abundance. Yet it works with remarkable consistency for those who understand its underlying principle. If you're beginning to recognize how your relationship with yourself has been shaping your financial reality, if you can see how money has been faithfully mirroring back to you, your own self-perception, write in the comments, "I am worthy of abundance." The Prosperous Void technique completely reverses conventional wisdom about attracting abundance. While we've been programmed to believe that getting more requires doing more, striving harder, pursuing with greater intensity, accumulating more credentials, this approach paradoxically creates the perfect vibrational context for abundance to continue eluding us. The technique offers a revolutionary alternative that transforms your entire relationship with manifestation. Instead of desperately chasing prosperity, the Prosperous Void technique teaches you to consciously create an energetic space, a void that abundance naturally fills. This approach applies a fundamental physical principle that operates throughout the universe. Nature abhors a vacuum and will seek to fill it automatically. Think of it as the difference between chasing someone who's running away from you versus creating a space so attractive that the person naturally gravitates toward you without effort. Pursuit creates resistance. Attractive void creates natural flow. It's a complete inversion of traditional manifestation approaches that focus on grasping, controlling, and forcing outcomes. The manuscript guides you step by step in creating this prosperous void through specific practices that transcend intellectual understanding and access directly your energetic field. These practices include conscious breathing techniques that literally alter your biochemistry, guided visualizations that reprogram your neural circuits, and daily rituals that recalibrate your vibrational frequency. What's fascinating about this technique is that it operates from a central paradox the book reveals. The less desperately you pursue wealth, the more naturally it flows toward you. This isn't about passivity or resignation. It's about an active state of aligned receptivity that positions you as an irresistible magnet for abundance. 1. Practitioner described her experience with the Prosperous Void technique as stopping rowing against the current and finally allowing the river of prosperity to carry me effortlessly. Within weeks, opportunities she had pursued unsuccessfully for years began manifesting spontaneously, as if they had always been destined for her. This fundamental shift in your relationship with abundance, from pursuit to magnetic attraction, represents a transformation that transcends the merely financial. The mastery of creating energetic space rather than chasing external outcomes becomes a foundational skill that influences every area of your existence. A deeper truth emerges. We've been approaching prosperity from a place of fundamental misunderstanding about how the universe actually operates and responds to human consciousness. Now I want to create a moment of pause, because what I'm about to share contradicts fundamentally everything you've been taught about how wealth works. This revelation is so counterintuitive, so opposite to the programming we've all received, that I need to ask you, are you truly prepared for this truth? Once you hear it, your perception of money will never be the same again. The third law of money that the manuscript reveals with astonishing clarity is perhaps the most revolutionary. Money flows toward those who know how to receive it, not toward those who struggle to get it. This law directly challenges the dominant paradigm of effort-reward that has been engraved in our collective psyche for generations. From our earliest childhood, we've been conditioned to believe that the value of something is directly related to how much it costs us to get it. That reward is proportional to effort. That sacrifice and struggle are inevitable requirements for prosperity. This programming is so deep that it has become part of our basic identity. We are workers. We are fighters. We earn our living. But what if this entire belief structure were fundamentally wrong? What if the constant struggle for money were precisely what creates the perfect vibration for money to continue eluding us? The manuscript exposes a disconcerting truth. Effort and struggle generate a vibrational frequency of resistance that literally repels abundance. When you're in a state of constant struggle, you're emitting the energetic frequency of "I don't have" and "I need," which the universe interprets faithfully as a declaration of lack that must be maintained. The transformation occurs when you understand that the real skill isn't knowing how to pursue money, but how to receive it. This receptivity isn't passive. It's an active state of vibrational alignment that positions your energetic field in perfect resonance with abundance. Think of it as learning to sail instead of rowing. The rower is using his strength to fight against the current, exhausting himself in the process. The sailor, on the other hand, learns to align with the wind and currents, allowing forces much more powerful than his muscular effort to propel him toward his destination. The manuscript offers precise tools to develop this capacity for financial navigation, the ability to tune into the natural currents of abundance that have always been available, but that most people don't perceive due to their focus on struggle and effort. This revelation represents perhaps the most radical paradigm inversion the book offers. The understanding that abundance isn't something you chase, but something you learn to gracefully receive. If you're beginning to sense how this third law might be operating in your financial life, if you can recognize patterns where struggle and effort have actually been creating resistance to the very prosperity you seek, write in the comments, "I'm learning to receive." One of the most powerful practices the manuscript teaches is the abundant receptivity meditation. This transformative technique goes far beyond conventional visualization practices that most people are familiar with. Unlike traditional approaches that focus on desiring or yearning for something you don't yet have, this practice guides you to enter the vibrational state of someone who has already received abundance. The distinction is subtle but profound. Most people approach manifestation from a state of wanting, visualizing what they desire, while energetically broadcasting the message that they don't currently have it. This creates a contradictory signal to the unified field. I want this, coupled with I don't have this. The universe, responding perfectly to your dominant frequency, continues to deliver experiences that match this state of wanting but not having. The abundant receptivity meditation completely transforms this approach. Rather than asking for prosperity, you tune into the frequency of someone who already lives in abundance. You're not pleading for the universe to change your circumstances. You're aligning with the energetic signature of prosperity that already exists as potential in the quantum field. This shift in orientation, from seeking to receiving, from pursuing to attracting, from struggling to allowing, creates a fundamental transformation in your vibrational field that the universe cannot ignore. For centuries, the deepest spiritual traditions have taught a truth that quantum science is now beginning to validate: that we are, in essence, receptive beings. Our consciousness is fundamentally receptive. We constantly receive information through our senses, thoughts through our mind, inspiration through our intuition. And yet, when it comes to money, we've been programmed to abandon this essential receptive nature and adopt a posture of struggle and effort. The sailing versus rowing analogy perfectly illustrates this principle. The rower believes progress comes exclusively through muscular effort. They push against resistance, growing increasingly exhausted while making painfully slow progress. The sailor understands a more profound truth. By aligning with forces infinitely more powerful than their own muscle, the wind and currents, they can travel farther, faster, and with greater ease. They're not passive, they're skillfully receptive. They understand how to position their sail to capture the natural power that's already present in their environment. In your financial journey, the difference between rowing and sailing isn't about the destination. It's about the entire experience of the journey. The rower arrives exhausted, if they arrive at all. The sailor reaches their destination energized, having worked with rather than against the fundamental forces of nature. The manuscript guides you step by step to develop this capacity for financial navigation. The ability to tune into the natural currents of abundance that have always been available, but that most people don't perceive due to their conditioning to struggle. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, you gradually shift from being someone who exhausts themselves chasing prosperity to someone who naturally attracts it through aligned receptivity. One participant described this shift as moving from constantly pushing a boulder uphill to guiding it down a gentle slope. The boulder, your financial goals, remains the same, but the entire experience transforms when you align with rather than fight against the natural flow of abundance. The meditation begins with a specific breathing pattern designed to alter your nervous system state, shifting you from the sympathetic fight-or-flight mode most people operate from financially to the parasympathetic rest-and-receive state where manifestation naturally occurs. From this receptive state, you're guided to experience the sensations, emotions, and thoughts of already living in profound abundance. This isn't pretending or self-deception. It's deliberately aligning with a potential that already exists in the quantum field, bringing it into your experience through resonance rather than resistance. When practiced consistently, this meditation begins rewiring your entire relationship with receiving, not just money, but all forms of abundance. The journey of developing this receptivity reveals something profound about human consciousness and its relationship to the fundamental forces that govern material manifestation. We're not separate from the abundant universe, struggling to extract resources from it. We're integral expressions of that abundance, learning to align with our true nature rather than fighting against it. Now I want to explore one of the most ingrained and limiting beliefs about prosperity, the myth of hard work, and how it might be the very thing keeping abundance at arm's length in your life. This revelation completely transforms conventional wisdom about the relationship between effort and reward. If you're beginning to recognize how this principle of receptivity versus struggle might be playing out in your own financial journey, write in the comments, "I'm sailing with abundance now." The myth of hard work holds that substantial wealth is impossible without extreme sacrifice, deprivation, and years of exhausting effort. It's a narrative we've been told since childhood that forms the very fabric of our society. However, the manuscript exposes a crucial distinction that changes everything: the difference between hard work and aligned effort. Hard work, as it's been sold to us, implies struggle, resistance, and frequently movement in directions that go against our essential nature. It's like constantly swimming against the current. You might eventually advance, but at an enormous cost of energy and vitality. Aligned effort, on the other hand, is a completely different experience. It's not about working less, but about working from a place of natural resonance with your unique gifts and with the energetic currents that are already flowing in your favor. It's like swimming with the current. You still need to move, but each stroke takes you much further with much less wear. What's revolutionary about the concept of aligned effort is that it challenges the correlation we've established between suffering and value. We've been programmed to believe that if something comes easily, if we feel energized and alive while doing it, somehow it's worth less than if it costs us blood, sweat, and tears. This programming is perhaps one of the most insidious sabotages to our natural prosperity. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself feeling guilty when money came easily? Have you ever discounted your talents because they come naturally to you? Have you noticed a subtle discomfort when things flow too smoothly, as if you're waiting for the other shoe to drop? These are all symptoms of the suffering value misconception that has been deeply encoded in our relationship with success. The manuscript reveals that truly prosperous people aren't those who work hardest in the traditional sense, but those who have discovered their zone of aligned effort, that space where their natural talents, their passions, and market needs perfectly intersect. At this convergence point, prosperity flows not as a result of struggle, but as a natural consequence of alignment. Think of people like Warren Buffett, who has often said he tap dances to work and loves what he does, or content creators who transform their passion into digital empires while saying they feel like they've never worked a day in their lives. These aren't anomalies or exceptional cases. They're examples of people who have discovered the transformative power of aligned effort. The journey to discovering your own zone of aligned effort begins with a profound shift in perception, recognizing that your natural gifts aren't accidental. They're precise indicators of your unique contribution. The ease you experience when operating from these gifts isn't a sign that the work is less valuable. It's evidence that you're in alignment with your authentic path. To facilitate this internal transformation, the manuscript introduces a powerful practice known as the Millionaire meditation. Unlike traditional meditations that seek to quiet the mind, this specific technique is designed to actively reprogram your subconscious to naturally align with the vibrational frequency of abundance. The practice begins with a rhythmic breathing process that literally alters your biochemistry, elevating your brain frequency to an alpha-theta state where the subconscious becomes extraordinarily receptive to new programming. In this state of elevated receptivity, the manuscript guides you through a specific sequence of visualizations and sensory impressions that don't just allow you to imagine prosperity, but to vividly experience it as if it were already manifested in your reality. What's fascinating about this technique is that it transcends superficial visualization. It's not simply about seeing what you desire, but about completely immersing yourself in the sensory and emotional experience of already having it, to the point that your nervous system can't distinguish between that internal experience and external reality. Modern neuroscience has validated what the manuscript has taught for decades. The brain doesn't fundamentally distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Both create the same neural patterns, release the same neurotransmitters, and establish the same neurological circuits. In essence, by practicing the Millionaire meditation, you're literally installing the neural wiring of prosperity in your brain. Now, I want to share how this understanding of aligned effort versus hard work transforms not just your financial results, but your entire experience of the manifestation journey. This shift creates a completely different relationship with the process of creating prosperity, one where the path itself becomes as rewarding as the destination. If you're recognizing how the suffering value misconception might have been operating in your own life, if you can see how you've been conditioned to distrust ease and flow as signs of authentic value, write in the comments, "I choose aligned effort." One of the most transformative revelations from the manuscript is that your zone of aligned effort isn't something you need to invent or create. It's something you need to discover. It already exists at the intersection of three crucial elements: your natural talents, what comes easily to you; your authentic passions, what energizes rather than depletes you; and genuine market needs, what others value enough to exchange resources for. When these three elements converge, you enter a state of what psychologists call flow, that magical experience where time seems to disappear, creativity flourishes, and work feels more like play. What most people don't realize is that this flow state isn't just psychologically satisfying. It's also the optimal energetic state for attracting prosperity. The manuscript reveals why people operating from this zone of alignment seem to effortlessly attract opportunities that elude others. Their energy signature broadcasts a completely different frequency, one of authenticity, value, and natural abundance rather than struggle, depletion, and scarcity. The universe responds to this frequency not with more struggle, but with resonant opportunities that further amplify their natural gifts. Think about it. This way, have you ever noticed how certain people seem to be doing exactly what they were born to do? There's an unmistakable quality to their work, a signature vibration that sets them apart. They're not necessarily working longer hours than others, but there's a precision and alignment to their efforts that produces exponentially greater results with far less friction. This isn't coincidence or luck. It's the natural consequence of discovering and operating from their unique zone of aligned effort. And here's what's truly liberating about this understanding. This zone exists for every person. You don't need special privileges, connections, or circumstances to access it. You simply need to recognize and align with the unique configuration of gifts that are already present within you. To facilitate this alignment, the manuscript introduces the Millionaire meditation, a technique specifically designed to bypass your conscious limitations and access the deeper wisdom that already knows. Your unique path to prosperity. This isn't a traditional meditation focused on emptying the mind. It's a precision tool for reprogramming your prosperity consciousness at the deepest levels. The practice begins with a specific breathing rhythm that literally alters your biochemistry and brainwave patterns. As you inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8, you systematically shift from the beta brainwaves of normal waking consciousness to the alpha-theta state where profound recalibration becomes possible. In this receptive state, your subconscious becomes extraordinarily open to new programming. The meditation guides you through a sequence of vivid sensory experiences designed to install new neural pathways associated with prosperity consciousness. You're not just visualizing abstract concepts, you're immersing yourself in the complete sensory and emotional experience of being your prosperous self. What makes this technique so powerful is that it works directly with how your brain and nervous system actually function. Modern neuroscience has validated what the manuscript taught decades ago. Your brain creates the same neural connections, whether you're having a real experience or vividly imagining one. By repeatedly activating these prosperity circuits through the meditation, you're literally hardwiring your brain for abundance. One of the most fascinating aspects of this practice is how it gradually dissolves the dissonance between your conscious desire for prosperity and any contradictory subconscious programming. It creates a state of internal coherence where all levels of your being are finally aligned with the same frequency of abundance. Regular practitioners report not only changes in their external financial circumstances, but a profound transformation in their internal experience of money. Anxiety is replaced by tranquil confidence. Scarcity gives way to a constant sense of sufficiency. And perhaps most liberating, the identity of struggler is gradually replaced by the identity of natural receiver of abundance. This internal shift creates ripple effects throughout your entire experience of prosperity. Decisions that previously caused stress now flow with ease. Opportunities that were always present but filtered from your awareness suddenly become visible. And most remarkably, the entire quality of your financial journey transforms from exhausting battle to natural expression. Now I want to explore how this identity transformation manifests in real-world experiences. The stories of actual people who applied these principles and experienced breakthroughs that seemed almost miraculous to outside observers, but were simply the natural result of aligning with prosperity's fundamental laws. If you're beginning to recognize the possibilities that might open when you discover your unique zone of aligned effort, if you can sense how operating from this alignment might transform not just your results, but your entire experience of creation. Write in the comments, I'm discovering my prosperity zone. Let me share some remarkable transformation stories that illustrate how these principles manifest in real lives. Maria, a 42-year-old single mother, had spent over a decade working as an administrative assistant, always struggling to make ends meet. She had tried numerous systems to improve her financial situation, from additional jobs to multi-level marketing schemes, but always ended up in the same place, exhausted and barely surviving. After discovering the manuscript and applying the 7-day protocol, she experienced what she describes as a seismic shift in her relationship with money. What's fascinating is that Maria didn't change jobs or receive any unexpected inheritance. The transformation began subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. She noticed she was making decisions from a different place, a place of calm confidence rather than desperate scarcity. She began valuing her skills in a new way, recognizing their inherent worth rather than constantly comparing herself to others. Perhaps most significantly, she finally dared to ask for a salary review, something she had never done before despite years of dedicated service. To her surprise, not only did she get it, but her boss offered to train her for a position of greater responsibility. In less than 6 months, her income had doubled, and more importantly, her constant sense of struggle was replaced by a natural flow of abundance that continues expanding. Carlos, a 38-year-old entrepreneur, represents another powerful transformation story. He had the classic pattern of almost success, launching promising projects that initially generated enthusiasm, only to see them fade just when they seemed about to take off. This cycle had repeated so many times that he had begun to believe he was somehow financially cursed. The revelation that transformed his life was understanding that he was operating from a subconscious identity of struggler, not prosperous person. His internal narrative actually required struggle to validate his worth and his efforts. Through the identity recalibration technique the manuscript teaches, Carlos began systematically dismantling this limiting programming. The crucial breakthrough occurred when he recognized that he felt unconsciously uncomfortable with sustained success, as if he didn't deserve it or was somehow betraying his humble origins. By resolving this internal dissonance, his next project not only took off but maintained a consistent growth trajectory. Today, 2 years later, his company generates 7 times the income he had ever achieved previously. And most revealing, he describes the process as surprisingly easy compared to his previous struggles. Anna, a 55-year-old professional who had always earned enough but never experienced true abundance, discovered through the manuscript's exercises that she had been subconsciously associating wealth with negative values like greed and insensitivity. Although she consciously desired prosperity, her deeper programming believed that becoming truly prosperous meant becoming the type of person she despised. The value-wealth decoupling process the manuscript teaches allowed her to finally resolve this internal conflict. She understood that wealth was simply a neutral tool, not an indicator of moral character. This understanding unleashed a torrent of abundance she describes as both internal and external. On the financial plane, in less than a year, she tripled her net worth. But what she considers most valuable is the psychological freedom of no longer feeling conflict between her financial aspirations and her personal values. These stories illustrate a consistent pattern. External transformation always follows internal transformation. The shift happens first in consciousness, then manifests in circumstances. This isn't magical thinking, but the practical application of how neural wiring actually works in our brains and nervous systems. What modern neuroscience has validated, and what the manuscript revealed decades ago, is that your brain creates the same neural pathways, whether you're having a real experience or vividly imagining one. When you practice the Millionaire meditation consistently, you're literally installing and strengthening the neural wiring of prosperity consciousness. You're creating brain patterns that automatically notice opportunities, make aligned decisions, and operate from abundance rather than scarcity. This understanding illuminates why traditional approaches like affirmations often fail to create lasting change. They remain at the surface level of conscious thought, without accessing the deeper neural programming that actually drives behavior. The Millionaire meditation works at a fundamentally different level. It creates immersive experiences so vivid that your brain and nervous system respond as if they were actually happening. Through repeated practice, these neural pathways become your default operating system. What began as conscious effort gradually becomes your natural way of being in the world. At this point, prosperity flows not because of what you're doing differently, but because of who you've become at the neurological and energetic levels. Now I want to explore the third revealing secret the manuscript exposes with a clarity that has changed paradigms for thousands of readers. This vital principle completely inverts our conventional understanding of the relationship between personal growth and material abundance. If you've experienced moments where your inner shifts created unexpected positive changes in your external reality, if you can recognize how your own neural wiring might be shaping your financial experience, write in the comments, "My mind creates my wealth reality." The third revealing secret the manuscript exposes with a clarity that has transformed thousands of lives is this: money is not the final goal, but a natural byproduct of your personal evolution. This vital paradox completely inverts our conventional understanding of wealth. Most of us have been programmed to believe that first we must accumulate money to then evolve, to have the freedom, security, time, and resources that will allow us to grow as individuals. The manuscript reveals that this equation is fundamentally inverted. True sustainable prosperity is always an external reflection of your level of internal evolution. It's not something you pursue directly, but something that manifests naturally when you commit to your own growth, when you dare to expand your perceived limits, when you align your actions with your most authentic essence. This shift in perspective is profoundly liberating. It means you don't need to obsess over the external mechanisms of wealth generation. Instead, you can focus on the much more powerful question: how can I evolve to become the person who naturally attracts and sustains the abundance I desire? This is perhaps the most revolutionary inversion the book offers. The journey of consciousness expansion becomes the primary path, with material abundance emerging as its natural expression rather than its ultimate destination. Think about the profound implications of this understanding. When you make your personal evolution the priority, you're not only creating the energetic foundation for sustainable prosperity, you're also ensuring that when abundance does arrive, you'll have the wisdom, maturity, and perspective to use it in fulfilling ways. This explains why lottery winners and others who experience sudden wealth without corresponding internal growth so often lose their fortunes or find themselves more miserable than before. The manuscript guides you through specific practices designed to accelerate this evolutionary journey, not with the primary goal of accumulating wealth, but of becoming the expanded version of yourself who naturally experiences abundance as an expression of who they are. This approach resolves the paradoxical experience many people have of achieving financial goals only to feel strangely empty or immediately compelled to set even higher targets in a never-ending quest for fulfillment. Now I want to share a practical exercise extracted directly from the manuscript, a simple yet extraordinarily powerful technique you can begin applying immediately. It doesn't require any special equipment, just a few minutes of your time. but its potential impact on your energetic field is profound. It's called prosperity breathing, and it works by simultaneously activating your parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for the rest and digest state, while recalibrating your vibrational frequency related to money. This combination creates an optimal state of aligned receptivity that begins dismantling subconscious blocks to abundance. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably for a few minutes without interruptions. Place one hand over your heart and the other over your abdomen. Close your eyes and begin breathing deeply, inhaling through your nose for 4 seconds, holding the air for 7 seconds, and exhaling slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. With each inhalation, imagine you're breathing in a brilliant golden light, the very essence of universal abundance. Visualize this golden light first filling your lungs, then expanding through your chest, and finally permeating every cell of your body. With each exhalation, imagine you're releasing all limiting beliefs, fears, and scarcity patterns you've been carrying, perhaps for decades. Observe how these old patterns leave your body like a dark mist that dissolves into nothingness. Continue this breathing rhythm for at least 5 minutes, maintaining the visualization of receiving golden abundance and releasing dark limitation. At the end of the exercise, make a powerful internal declaration. I am a natural channel for abundance to flow toward me and through me. I receive with gratitude and give with joy. This is my essential nature. What's extraordinary about this technique is that it combines multiple levels of transformation simultaneously. It recalibrates your nervous system, reprograms your subconscious, and aligns your energetic field with the frequency of prosperity. Practiced consistently for just 21 days, this exercise can literally rewrite your neural patterns related to money. One participant who applied only this technique without implementing any other strategy from the book reported that in just 2 weeks she began noticing tangible changes, unexpected opportunities, casual conversations that opened new financial possibilities, and even a forgotten refund that arrived at the perfect moment. But more important than these external changes was the internal transformation she experienced, a sense of peace and confidence in relation to money that she had never known before. Now I want to explore another crucial revelation the manuscript exposes: the devastating trap of delayed gratification, especially when applied to prosperity. This mentality of, "I'll be happy when I'm rich," is exactly the vibrational pattern that guarantees abundance will continue eluding you. No matter how much you accumulate externally, if you're recognizing how making evolution your priority might transform your relationship with prosperity, if this perspective shift is resonating with something you've intuitively sensed, write in the comments, "Evolution creates my wealth." When you adopt the posture of, "I'll be happy when," you're vibrationally declaring several things simultaneously. First, that you're not happy now, which creates an energetic field of lack. Second, that your happiness depends on an external condition, which cedes your power to circumstances outside your control. And third, that abundance is something separate from you that must be pursued and captured, which creates resistance in the unified field. The manuscript reveals an apparently paradoxical but transformative truth. Happiness and the internal sensation of abundance are not the result of external wealth. They are its vibrational precursors. In other words, you must first enter the emotional and energetic state of prosperity to manifest it in your external reality. Think about it. When you postpone your happiness until some future point, when you've accumulated a certain amount of wealth, you're literally programming a state of perpetual lack. You're telling the unified field, "I don't have enough now, and I won't have enough until I reach this arbitrary goal." The universe, responding perfectly to your vibration of "I don't have enough," will continue reflecting exactly that experience in your reality. The transformative inversion the book offers is to begin deliberately cultivating the emotional states of abundance, fullness, and gratitude now, regardless of your current external circumstances. By doing so, you establish the vibrational frequency that naturally attracts resonant experiences of prosperity. This isn't a self-suggestion technique or magical thinking, it's quantum physics applied to your personal energetic field. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to your desires or requests. It responds impeccably to your dominant vibrational frequency. The breakthrough comes when you understand that you can consciously choose to inhabit the vibrational state of abundance right now, in this moment, regardless of what your bank account shows. This decision to break free from delayed gratification and embrace energetic prosperity in the present moment represents a fundamental shift in how you relate to the flow of abundance in your life. Now I want to go even deeper into a fundamental aspect that the manuscript reveals: the extraordinary power of decision and how this can transform your relationship with abundance even when your external circumstances seem not to have changed at all. This revolutionary understanding is perhaps one of the most powerful keys the book offers. The word decision comes from the Latin decidere, which literally means to cut and separate. When you make a true decision, you're cutting all alternative possibilities and completely aligning your energy with a specific direction. The manuscript reveals that there's an astronomical difference between wanting prosperity and deciding prosperity. Most people operate perpetually in the realm of wanting. They desire more abundance, hope for more abundance, even work to obtain more abundance, but very few people make the irrevocable decision to be prosperous. This subtle but profound distinction literally changes the vibrational frequency from which you're operating. The book teaches a transformative process for making decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, even when, and this is crucial, your external circumstances don't seem to support that posture. It's about a radical act of internal alignment that transcends the apparent conditions of your current reality. Think about it this way. When you make decisions from scarcity, those decisions invariably create more experiences of limitation. You decide not to invest in your growth because you can't afford it, which guarantees you'll continue not being able to afford it. You choose not to seek better opportunities because there aren't enough, which ensures you'll continue experiencing insufficiency. It's a perfect cycle of self-fulfilling prophecy. The manuscript offers a revolutionary technique called decision from the future, where you learn to consciously position yourself at a point in the future where abundance has already manifested, and from that expanded perspective, make decisions in the present. This perceptual shift fundamentally alters the energetic field from which you're operating. Imagine you're already the prosperous version of yourself. Looking back at the present moment from that perspective, have already realized abundance. From that viewpoint, what decision would you make? What action would you take? What opportunity would you recognize as the turning point that changed everything? This technique isn't merely an imagination exercise, it's a literal recalibration of your personal electromagnetic field. By practicing it consistently, you begin making decisions that are aligned not with your perceived current limitation, but with the abundance that already exists as potential in your timeline. If the concept of making decisions from your future abundant self resonates with you, if you can sense how this perspective shift might transform your current choices, write in the comments, "I'm deciding from my prosperous future." One participant who applied this decision from the future technique described her experience as changing the glasses through which I saw my financial world. Suddenly, Opportunities she would have dismissed as impossible began to seem not only possible, but inevitable. Decisions that would have previously caused anxiety, like investing in her education or negotiating a better position, now flowed naturally from a place of tranquil confidence. And what's most fascinating is that nothing in her external reality had changed yet. The transformation began completely in the realm of her consciousness. And only then did the external world begin reorganizing to reflect this new internal frequency. This perspective shift creates a remarkable transformation in how you evaluate opportunities, challenges, and decisions in your present reality. From the viewpoint of your future abundant self, you naturally recognize the pivotal moments that others might miss. You intuitively sense which paths lead to expansion and which lead to limitation. This isn't mystical. It's a practical recalibration of your perception that unlocks awareness that was always available but filtered by your scarcity programming. When you consistently practice making decisions from this expanded future self, something remarkable happens. The gap between who you are now and who you're becoming begins to collapse. The future prosperity you've been envisioning starts manifesting in your present experience, not as a distant goal, but as your emerging reality. This acceleration occurs because you're no longer creating resistance between your current and future states. You're allowing them to merge through aligned decision-making. Now, I want to share what might be the most profound revelation in the entire manuscript, one that only becomes fully apparent after deep integration of all the principles we've explored. There comes a moment in every practitioner's journey when they realize that the entire quest for abundance was actually the universe's ingenious way of guiding them back to their own true nature. The initial desire for financial freedom, the frustration with limitation, the longing for prosperity, all of these were breadcrumbs leading you toward the recognition of your inherent creative power. What seemed like an external pursuit was actually an internal homecoming, a remembering of capacities that were never absent, only temporarily obscured by layers of conditioning and false belief. This recognition brings with it a profound sense of completion, not because you've acquired something new, but because you've reclaimed something that was always yours. The abundance you've been seeking wasn't hiding in some future achievement or external circumstance. It was the very consciousness through which you were conducting the search. You were never separate from what you sought. You were simply learning to recognize your true identity. This understanding transforms the entire context of manifestation work. Instead of trying to get something from the universe, you realize you are the universe expressing itself through individualized awareness. Instead of attempting to attract abundance, you discover that you are abundance taking temporary form as a human being. The shift from seeking to being marks the culmination of the spiritual journey that was hidden within your financial awakening. The practical implications of this realization are staggering. Decision-making becomes effortless because you're no longer torn between competing desires. You simply follow the natural impulse of your expanded awareness. Action arises spontaneously from clarity rather than being forced from confusion. Life becomes a creative dance rather than a strategic battle. This state of being naturally generates what others perceive as miraculous manifestations. But to you, they feel like the most natural thing in the world. When you're aligned with the creative principle itself, creating abundance is no more difficult than creating a thought or a feeling. It's simply another expression of the infinite creativity that you are. The transformation also brings a deep sense of service to something greater than personal gain. Your prosperity becomes a vehicle for uplifting consciousness, inspiring others, and contributing to the elevation of life on earth. Money flows through you for purposes that extend far beyond personal comfort or security. though those needs are naturally met along the way. This expansion of purpose often leads to the discovery of your unique contribution to the collective awakening of humanity. The skills, insights, and gifts that emerge from your abundance journey turn out to be exactly what the world needs. From you, your personal transformation becomes inseparable from your service to the larger transformation of consciousness happening on our planet. If you've experienced moments of recognizing that your quest for external prosperity was actually guiding you toward an inner awakening, if you sense that abundance is not something to acquire, but something to remember and embody, write in the comments, "I am the abundance I seek." As our journey through these prosperity revelations comes to a close, I want to express my genuine gratitude for those of you who've stayed with me until this point. The fact that you've absorbed all of this content tells me you're not just casually curious about abundance, you're truly committed to transformation. There's something within you that recognized the truth in these principles, a part of you that was ready to remember what you've always known at the soul level. I'd love to continue sharing these discoveries with you. This channel is dedicated to exploring that powerful intersection between consciousness and manifestation, between spiritual awakening and practical abundance. If today's journey has resonated with your soul, I invite you to subscribe so we can keep uncovering these hidden truths together. There's so much more to explore about how awareness shapes experience and how awakened consciousness naturally creates prosperity in all its forms. For those who've made it all the way to this moment with me, write in the comments, "This message was meant for me." When I see that phrase, I'll know you're part of our community of conscious creators, and it helps me understand the depth of connection we're building here. And if this exploration has touched something real within you, if you felt that recognition of truth that comes when consciousness speaks to consciousness, that little heart button below is your way of saying yes to more of this kind of content. Your engagement creates an energetic bridge that allows these teachings to reach others who are ready for this level of understanding. There's a video right here that dives even deeper into the practical application of these consciousness principles, specific techniques for maintaining your elevated frequency even when the world around you seems chaotic. It's the perfect continuation of what we've explored today. Click and continue with me over there, and let's keep expanding this understanding together. Remember, you're not here by accident. You're here because some part of you knows it's time to step into the fullness of who you truly are. And that journey of becoming is the most beautiful adventure consciousness can undertake. As our journey through these prosperity revelations comes to a close, I want to express my gratitude for those of you who've stayed with me until this moment. The fact that you've absorbed all of this content tells me you're not just casually curious about abundance, you're genuinely committed to transformation. There's something within you that recognized the truth in these principles, a part of you that was ready to remember what you've always known at the soul level. I'd love to continue sharing these discoveries with you. This channel is dedicated to exploring that powerful intersection between consciousness and manifestation, between spiritual awakening and practical abundance. If today's journey has resonated with your soul, I invite you to subscribe so we can keep uncovering these hidden truths together. There's so much more to explore about how awareness shapes experience and how awakened consciousness naturally creates prosperity in all its forms. For those who've made it all the way to this moment with me, write in the comments, "This message was meant for me." When I see that phrase, I'll know you're part of our community of conscious creators, and it helps me understand the depth of connection we're building here. And if this exploration has touched something real within you, if you felt that recognition of truth that comes when consciousness speaks to consciousness, that little heart button below is your way of saying yes to more of this kind of content. Your engagement creates an energetic bridge that allows these teachings to reach others who are ready for this level of understanding. There's a video right here that dives even deeper into the practical application of these consciousness principles, specific techniques for maintaining your elevated frequency even when the world around you seems chaotic. It's the perfect continuation of what we've explored today. Click and continue with me over there, and let's keep expanding this understanding together. Remember, you're not here by accident. You're here because some part of you knows it's time to step into the fullness of who you truly are. And that journey of becoming is the most beautiful adventure consciousness can undertake.